Hi, thanks for spending some time with me today. We're looking at Charlie Porter's Lyrical Etudes for trumpet. This is number 2 in C minor. I strongly encourage you to read the instructions because Charlie's done a great job of pointing out some of the essential things that are very, very helpful for your playing. He says, familiarize yourself with the underlying harmony. Now, of course, Charlie is a jazz improvisational artist and a composer. And so, people who are deeply into music tend to be aware of the harmonic progressions. But a lot of us who play the trumpet, since it's a melodic instrument, we just play one note at a time, and we start thinking that way. We see the dots on the page, they're a single note. And so we start thinking of them as being a separate thing. And actually that keeps us from getting in the flow of the music. So I'm just going to play through it for you. And we'll see if we can find some useful things in here to improve our playing. As usual, playing the trumpet, there's a lot going on. And I think even if you know a piece of music very well, a lot of concentration as a trumpet player goes toward just maintaining your balance, keeping control. And so the more that we can become comfortable, flexible in maintaining our balance and letting that happen automatically, the easier it is to play the music. On the other hand, the better you know the music, the easier it is to maintain your balance because you know where you're going. You can kind of see it before it happens. So this is a pretty easy one to hear, and it's not that long, but there are some challenging things in it. Probably the middle section where it's constantly changing keys is one of the sections that we want to be able to hear. So I always practice these singing them and trying to hear the notes. I won't force you to listen to my vocal rendition, but I'm listening for tonal centers and for the sound of the harmony itself. So I'm going to start in the pickup to the 4th line, if you have the music. These are available on Charlie's website, of course, so check that out when you get a chance. And it says poco a poco crescendo, poco accelerando, so you have other musical things going on. I'm just going to play the notes and have you listen to the harmonic context. And it's got a really nice, loose, kind of slip-slidey feel to it. I always try and find the not just the control, but the sense of motion. If the motion is graceful, then I'm in. If the motion is awkward, then I know I have a little bit of work to do. So there's some fingering spots in this, which I don't think I navigated very effectively the first time through. And it's one of these cross fingerings, with a third finger coming up and down. That gives most of us trouble. And I noticed it was awkward. Now, it could be awkward for a lot of different reasons, but it's probably that fingering wasn't as stable and secure as it should have been. So I'll just go back and practice that. Now, there are a couple ways to practice that you might find annoying, and that's not a bad thing, and also interesting. One is something I do all the time. Like I said, I go back and sing it. So I'm trying to hear the notes. And that's something you should definitely try to do. Some of you may be in school now, others may be just starting out on the trumpet. It doesn't matter. You need to start this process of being able to recognize interval relationships, scale patterns by ear, and that makes it so much easier to play. It frees up more of your mind to actually concentrate on your musical intention, which is the point here. So I go through that and I'm hearing it. That's one way. And then I'll go back and just try to not think about the pitches at all. I'm just looking at the notes, and I'm, much as I probably did when I was very young, I'm looking at the note and I'm thinking, oh, this is this fingering, this is that fingering, and I'm being very, very, how should I put this? Very intentional, very deliberate about what I'm doing with the fingers. Yeah, that sloppiness in the fingers right at that spot. Now, I notice I'm automatically hearing it in my ear. So I'm going to turn that off. I know this might be challenging for some of you, but it's an interesting thing to try. I'm going to turn off the sound and just... So I have an awkwardness, a physical feeling of awkwardness. Now, of course, I heard I was stumbling through that before, but I might think, well, I just need to play that a couple of times, and yeah, chances are it's going to be a little bit better, but I'm not actually solving the underlying problem. Every time I get to that spot, I have a little awkwardness in the fingerings. So if I can just concentrate on that, not worry about the notes, not even worry about the time at first, just, oh, that's hard. A flat, pick up the third finger, then to the D, pick up the third finger, then to the D, which is picking up the third finger for the F sharp again. I see why this is a problem. So that spot, even that just that one bar or two bars, you know, the simpler, more graceful bar for me, and going into the more awkward bar, that would be something to practice. So I think I've been finding recently that I don't really pay enough attention to the fingers. And a lot of times that's what's causing the feeling of awkwardness, and that's what causes the problems with accuracy. So there you have it. It's pretty simple. Now there are other things that we tend to ignore, and this is in all these etudes, and this is another thing I really appreciate about these etudes. Again, thank you, Charlie. He starts mezzo forte. You play mezzo forte, a little crescendo, decrescendo, natural phrasing dynamics. Goes up to forte, that's nice, and then immediately down to piano. So most people don't really pay attention to what should that sound like. They say, oh yeah, this should be louder, this should be softer, and they try and do it, but it doesn't feel natural. And that's what I'm looking for, is like, can I do it as if I would do it with my voice? It's like, what should be the attitude of the sound? And that helps me, because otherwise I'm thinking about what it feels like. I'm playing louder, it feels like this. I'm playing softer, it feels like this. And I want to associate my body reactions and skills to what I want it to sound like musically. And so we use our musical imagination. What's the attitude? Well, we got a lot of Italian here again. Allegro con rubato e espressivo. Okay. Many of us know what that means. Rubato. I didn't do it too rubato. I'm not going to worry about that right now, because I'm just dealing with the sound and the dynamics. So I'm going to keep it simple. So to me, in the minor key, this one has a little bit of a mournful feel to it. So you get the end of one sentence. Forte, it's got more command in the sound. That's the way it feels to me. See, that's an attitude, more an attitude of making a strong assertion, right? Some of us would have trouble with just the octave control, the sense of evenness. I'm feeling that a little bit. Now, these are details, But everything that gives you trouble is contributing to that feeling of uneasiness, lack of confidence. And again, you want to be free to just play the music. So I'm going to go back to that voice again, work on the forte, and then make a transition to piano. So I'm kind of squeezing a little bit on that C. What do I want it to sound like? What's the attitude? So we're minor and we're going to modulate to major. We're going someplace. Oh, that's so helpful. So now I'm giving myself a lot more freedom. I'm playing with the way the music moves. Now, the way I practice this, especially if playing the trumpet is getting in the way, is I just do the conducting thing. So I'm hearing the music, if I can hear it clearly in my mind, and I'm starting to get kind of the energy, the life energy from the music. It's telling me where it's going, what it wants to do, what the character is. It's a lot like being an actor. You're picking up on the attitudes that's coming through the music and the feelings that you get from the music. That's the starting point. So this takes your mind away from the struggle of constantly working on trying to control your body to make the trumpet sound good. That's very difficult. But if you relate it to what you're trying to do with the music, these things start to happen naturally. So I hope this, even on this simple, short little etude, that this will give you something constructive that you can be about when you're doing your practice. So I'll let you go do that now, and I'll see you next time you have a little bit of time to spend with me. Have a great day. Enjoy your practice. Bye-bye.